Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining in. It's so lovely to see you all here. And the numbers are still raising, so it's really lovely because it's motivating us to do this more often. And so I'm very happy about it. Thank you so much for making your time to join us today evening. We have a wonderful list of panelists, and we are going to go into some really interesting topics. And yeah, let's get started. Before we hand it over to the panelists for their introductions, right, I want to say a little bit about myself. My name is Vignesh, and I'm a senior software engineer here at HashiCorp. I'm currently working for the Terraform team, and it's been like over a year since I joined HashiCorp right now, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be here. During my free time, I generally read a lot of Sanskrit literature. It's not very common, but yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much, guys. So let's go ahead and introduce each of our panelists. Today we have Trilok. Hey, Trilok, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Hey, hi Vignesh. Yeah, thank you. Really great to be part of this panel. My name is Trilok Ramakrishna. I'm the Director of Engineering. I lead the R&D India team, R&D HashiCorp India team. I joined HashiCorp last February, so it's been close to 1.5 years now. And I am so excited to speak to you all, share my experiences. Hope it's helpful for you all. That's about me. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for making your time today, Trilok. Shimendra, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everyone. This is Shamendra, and I'm so much excited to be part of this panel and to talk to all you guys here. I'm a senior manager here, leading the infrastructure and SRE team. I have been to HashiCorp just around 2 weeks back, but whatever I have seen in this 2 week, I'm very excited to share. There are a lot of things that I have seen, a lot of empathy, that culture. There are a lot of things that I can talk about. Yeah. So once again, thank you for having me here.
Thank you, Shimendra. Happy to have you here as well. Hey, Shivali, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar. This is Shivali. I've been in the industry for around 6 years, and I joined HashiCorp around 3 months back and working as a senior engineer on the Consul product, which is essentially a service networking solution. Before HashiCorp, I worked in VMware for close to 5.5 years, where again I worked on various products. I'm based in Bangalore, and in my free time, I enjoy listening to music, traveling, cooking, and doing a little bit of gardening. Yeah, that's about me. Thank you.
That's so awesome, Shivali. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a quick note, right? Like you will probably notice this already, but anyway, just calling it out. We have people from different stages of each of their career, and so I think this discussion is going to be really interesting because of that. And I'm very happy that we have the set of panelists together. So thanks all for joining in again, and let's jump in. Uh, to start us off, I'm going to ask a few questions regarding career in general to each of you, and then we can start taking questions at the end of it. So for the folks in the audience, like if you guys want to ask us any questions, the Zoom chat is always open. So go ahead, post in your questions, and then we'll get to that as soon as we are done with the general discussion. So very excited to hear from you guys as well. Awesome. Okay, cool. To start us off, I'm going to, this question is probably for you, Trilok. Can you tell us about, because you've been in the industry for the longest, so can you tell us about how your career journey has been so far? Can you talk about how you started and where you are right now and, give us some insights?
Absolutely, Vignesh. I started my career exactly 20 years back, so I'll be completing my 20 years in probably a week. So it's been 20 years of nice, fruitful journey. I would say I learned a lot. I started of course, as a software engineer. Interestingly, I started as a QA. I started as a testing engineer. I did testing for the first 6 months. I really liked it. Like that's my passion. I really like testing. I really like finding bugs, breaking software. After that, I moved, like in 6 months, I moved to a developer role, and I have worked predominantly in the supply chain domain initially for the first like probably 12, 13 years of my career. So as a software engineer, I kind of wanted to solve the hard problem just like all the software engineers do. And fortunately, I got a lot of hard problem. I got a lot of greenfield initiatives in my career, and I was able to pace my career. And I was happy that I become a principal engineer in like first 6 to 7 years of experience. Then I realized that, probably I'm growing a little bit too fast. I need more tenure. And that's where I kind of took a step back and tried to look at options on how I can mentor folks and how I can learn more from the experience. So just one fun fact about my career. Of course, we wanted to start with a fun fact, but about my career, I was in a supply chain industry for a very long time, but I wanted to kind of move out. So I joined a banking company called American Express. I'm sure you might have heard about it. But it so happened that I joined the team of joined a team which actually ships the gift cards. So I ended up doing supply chain in the supply chain software. I ended up writing supply chain software in a banking company. So that's how the coincidence was. Like that's how my fate was. And finally, I was able to come out of the supply chain industry. And my first gig was outside the supply chain was in Akamai. So before Akamai, like all the supply chain companies I can list, but I don't want to go through the big list. I could name some of them. I worked in FedEx. I worked in US Steel in the manufacturing. I worked in a company called Manhattan Associates. I worked in a company called SAP Ariba that was eventually acquired by SAP. But my first gig outside the supply chain was a company called Akamai. It's a very popular CDN company where I built a software called Akamai Test Center, which is a very innovative idea. And of course, we'll speak about innovation more in this webinar. This particular thing was part of a hackathon proposal. We call it as Akka Wizards in Akamai, where we presented to Tom Layton, the CEO, and only 2 to 3 projects get selected every year. And this was one of them. So we got to implement the Akamai Test Center. It was a very, it solved a very good problem of like giving a framework for customers to test any changes before it goes to the edge. Like before you push a change to the CDN, you get to test your software and you get to write this test dynamically. So it was a very important tool that kind of enabled the stability of the CDN as well. After that, I had a stint in Amazon. Again, it was not supply chain. It was more into banking. So it was more into payments, and it was more into payments was a very short while. But then I spent most of my time in ads. That was the most I would say the complex problem I solved in my career, because ads domain is very interesting. And it was at a time when we didn't announce the revenue. Right now, Amazon ads generates $14 to $15 billion of revenue. But I worked at a time when the revenue was not disclosed and it was a very small team. So we got to work on really cool problems. I was working on something called DSP, demand side platform, which is the advertiser facing side of Amazon ads. And I was responsible for scaling. So that was an interesting problem. We had to scale the campaigns, and the ads world, like whenever you open, let's say Times of India or CNN.com, you will see a Nissan ad, or you will see some kind of a Honda ad that's rendered real time, like within nanoseconds. And within this nanoseconds, the real-time bidding happens, and multiple advertisers kind of bid on them. For example, it goes to Google, it goes to Facebook, and like whoever wins the bid, they get to present their ad, and Amazon is one of them. So it all is very scaled system, and I was fortunate to work in that. After Amazon, I joined a company called GitHub. I'm sure you all know about it. Like very close, dear to my heart. I'm a core developer at heart, and that's a company which taught me a lot about working on the developer experiences, how to build software that is used by the developers. It's a very hard thing to do. So in GitHub, I was responsible for GitHub Actions, and almost all the GitHub Actions work that was done in the last 3 to 4 years was done by my team in India. So this was where I started creating sites. Like I started from 0, and we grew to close to 80. Of course, we got some help from Microsoft because of the Microsoft acquisition. A lot of folks from Microsoft came to GitHub, but I was happy that when I exited, it was close to 80-member team. It was spanning 2 regions, India and Korea. In GitHub, we also worked on something called security, supply chain security, which was a very key part to kind of protect the IP of several clients. After GitHub, I joined HashiCorp, and HashiCorp has been a very interesting journey, because again, I was the first person to get hired in India, and we wanted to kind of start this site. we like one of the key thing that I wanted to start is like make sure that we have the right culture. We follow the culture of HashiCorp. HashiCorp has a great principles. It values kindness, it values humility, it values pragmatism, etc. Beauty works better. As part of that, like following those principles, we have created the team now. We are a 20 to 25 member team right now, and we will grow rapidly to huge numbers by the end of the year. And in HashiCorp, we are solving very interesting problems. Initially, we started with Consul. Consul is a service networking solution of HashiCorp, but now the team is working on almost all the products of HashiCorp, including Terraform, Vault. We have Consul. We have HCP, this HashiCorp Cloud Platform, which is the real which we are trying to scale in huge numbers. So yeah, that's been my career. What I've learned is always be curious, always try to innovate, always try to learn. So that is the probably one of the mantra of my career. And always be humble. There is always something to learn. There is always someone to learn from, and there is always an opportunity to teach as well. So that's about my career, Vignesh.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Trilok. That was a very lovely note. I do have a follow-up question on that. Do you want to, like, you did speak about a lot, right? You spoke about the DevOps experience from GitHub. You spoke about what happened at Ariba and so on. Can you tell us your aha moment and something that you can reflect on a daily basis kind of a thing?
Yes, I think the aha moment was, I will not use the Akamai Test Center because I already spoke. Of course, that's a big aha moment. But for me, probably the biggest aha moment was when I transitioned from a principal engineer to to an engineering manager. I'm happy to say that, like the transition was very painful because I was a principal engineer at heart. I was like, I had to do everything by myself. Like I was a coder. I was a passionate coder. But when it came to engineering manager, I had to kind of rely on my team. The team is the strongest. Creating a strongest team is very important, and we are as strong as the weakest link in the team. So that was probably the aha moment where I initially failed in the first few months, and then I got a lot of mentorship, and a lot of advice, and then based on on the job, I learned a lot, and that has helped me to be where I am. This was like almost 12 years back, so I look back and see my career, but that's probably the aha moment for me, Vignesh.
That's awesome, Trilok. That's so awesome. And yeah, we can definitely, and that's very, very relevant to what we are talking about today, how people transition to different parts of their career and how they progress. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Trilok. For the next question, I think this is for Shivali. So what is your best thing about working at HashiCorp, Shivali? Like, can you tell us about how your daily life has been influenced by working here at HashiCorp?
Yeah, sure. I think during my last 3 months at HashiCorp, I've seen a lot of positive things, and I have a lot of good things to say about HashiCorp. But probably I'll name a few. Firstly, I think the most important thing and the best thing about HashiCorp is the culture. So, culture here at HashiCorp is super positive, uh, fostering collaboration, creativity, and a genuine sense of community among the colleagues. And I think the credit for that, for cultivating that kind of culture, goes to our HashiCorp leaders. And for India location, it goes to Trilok, who has worked really, really hard on fostering the culture of trust, inclusivity, and creativity, and making sure that everybody in the team feels valued and respected. So I'd like to share some examples there why I'm saying that. So since the day I joined, I see that Trilok has built this culture of having regular retrospective meetings where every team member's contributions are recognized and appreciated, which basically enhances everyone's confidence and ensures that everyone in the team feels valued and respected. And I think that practice is kind of helping to build the environment of support and respect, and also more engaged team members, because when you feel respected, you are more engaged in the daily work that you do. So I think that's one thing. The other great thing about Trilok is that he's always up for brainstorming sessions with the team members, offering his valuable insights and guidance. And again, that is something which is kind of playing a crucial role in fostering the culture of innovation and creativity and continuous improvement in the team. So yeah, I think thanks a lot, Trilok, for that. And the second thing that I would like to mention about HashiCorp, like I totally love, is working alongside super talented team members and passionate individuals who are kind of driving innovations forward for the organization. I think working alongside this team in the past 3 months only, I could see that I'm seeing a lot of growth opportunities for myself and a lot of avenues for my professional and career development. So yeah, overall, I would like to say that being at HashiCorp has been awesome for me, and it's an exceptional place to work at.
Thank you. Thank you, Shivali. So I do want to add over here as a peer member in Shivali's team and under Trilok, right? I do want to, plus one to everything that Shivali said. You can definitely see the kindness actually spreading. It's not only from Trilok, but it's also from the other engineering managers who have been hired recently. And, everything is just going so smooth. It's like a well-oiled engine. I do feel that at times that we are more of a family kind of a thing, more than just a team. So we are so well knit and we know we balance each other off at most times. So thank you. Thank you so much for those insights, Shivali. Next, Shamendra, can you give some career advice for somebody who's trying to join HashiCorp right now? Is there something that you want to sell? How they can spark their journey and how they can join us eventually?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Vignesh. I would like to start with, there are a lot of positive things there are a lot of things that you guys have already talked about. What Sivali says, what you have said, what Trilok said. So the culture, the people, the kindness, the innovation, everything matters a lot, right? Because you want to work in a place where you feel respected, right? You have people around where you have smart people around where you can learn, you can grow in your career. That is super important. And at the same point of the time, when you have a culture where you feel included, where you have a kind people, where you definitely you can work and grow. So that is super important, and that is a core of HashiCorp, right? It's not is across all HashiCorp centers, right? And that is one of the best thing that I have seen in HashiCorp. So really means I would say that this is a place where you can learn, grow, and you'll feel like, this is the place where you should work, right? HashiCorp overall is a company that values continuous learning. It's an engineering company at heart, right? It supports innovation. So cultivate a deep interest in the technology. That is what my advice to the people who wants to join HashiCorp. So at HashiCorp, you definitely have a chance to make a real difference for our customers and developer community. And we are definitely we are hiring, we are looking for passionate individual to join the team. And again, means I love the emphasis to create the elegant, user-friendly, and the functional functional product which delight continuously our users. So there are a lot of good things about HashiCorp. So means yeah, that is what my advice is, and I'm happy to take any particular questions that anyone has.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Shimendra. Thank you so much for throwing that. But Shimendra, I do want to follow up on that, right? You did mention a little bit about being curious in your career. You were curious about technology in general and so on. Is there some moment from your life that you want to, share with us and share with our audience as well to see where your curiosity and your, learning, the motive to learn basically came in handy in your career?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I've been from the day one, like I'm into the system side of system engineering side, and I've seen a massive growth where the things change a lot, right? Right from data center when things come into the cloud, where the engineering culture, a lot of innovation came, right? You talk a lot about different tools, technologies, which basically that which you embed in your processes, right, to make your life easy. right? Because the amount the technology is evolving, right, is it will not be sustainable the day how we used to handle our system 2 decades back, right? So yeah, means I've worked in that situation, and as technology evolved, so I myself was very interested in in writing codes, in like developing tools and all, because sometimes I used to be lazy, right, when I have to do things manually. So that is like I continuously like to learn, continuously like evolve. And in this era of internet, right, you do have enormous like ways to learn. So definitely, I mean, this is very important, super important for anyone, I mean, to continuously learn, and that's how you grow into your career.
Absolutely makes sense, Shamindra. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. So, I mean, yeah, that's actually a very great discussion, right? Trilok, I do want to ask you one more question. Speaking about developer experience in general, right? Is there some insights that you want to share to our audience, especially for the ones who are actually starting their career, right? The general software industry with the standard distributed systems, that's something that everybody sees on a daily basis, and there are various companies to represent that. But HashiCorp and GitHub are positioned in the center wherein they're able to give the developer experience and make developers' lifestyle actually very smooth and easy. But can you speak something about that? Can you tell us, tell the team about how developer experience has actually evolved over time, kind of a thing?
Sure, Vignesh. Developer experience means providing multiple channels, right? Like for developers to interact with the system. This also means that we make the developers' life easy in terms of integration, right? A lot of developers would like to integrate their products. So that means we have an amazing CLI experience, which is probably what Terraform and Vault are really best known for, and even GitHub as well. So CLI is the key probably to create useful integrations or useful experiences for developers to interact with the product. When it comes to more integration at a system level, we rely on APIs and SDKs. So if you see almost all our integrations, all our products supports API and SDK based integration. So there are several SDKs we have written, there are several SDKs the communities have written, and which we use for creating, like let's say somebody wants to use, somebody wants to build a PaaS system and they want to hook up to, let's say, Terraform or Vault API. So they can always do that, right? So that is where the developer experience comes. And finally, to make it more delightful, I believe we have to have like a proper test bed or a proper documentation aspect to it as well. So that means we conform to the open APIs and everything. So that's pretty important as well. So probably these are some things that developers love. And finally, like, we are continuously evolving our integration story as well. So we are still, ways to go in terms of how we can open up our products to more developer integration. So our products are definitely, available in the open. We are a BSL license, but we are available and people can see our code and everything. So there is a lot of innovation that keeps coming in from the community as well. That's helping us in that regard.
Totally makes sense, Trilok. Thank you. Yeah, and like, yeah, I definitely agree with the documentation. I think any and every developer out there in the market would, definitely agree with that. If the documentation is bad, you just cannot use the tool and it makes your whole experience bad. And I think developer experience tools in particular should have extremely good documentation. And I think at HashiCorp, I think we are doing a good job of the documentation as well. I mean, there are places where we can improve, absolutely, no questions, but we are doing a very good job in my opinion. So thank you so much for those insights, Tilo. I do have a few questions that I've already poured into the chat. So I'm going to switch gears and start taking questions from the audience directly. The first question that we have is, how do we encourage engineers to innovate beyond their day-to-day life? On a daily basis, how do you innovate? I'm guessing that's the interpretation of that question. So maybe Trilok, can you answer that? Like, can you tell us more about how people can innovate on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, Vignesh. So innovation cannot be planned, right? Innovation cannot be like, we can't. Yes, there are ways that we can like kickstart something by having hackathons. We can do ideathons. Like all those things are good, but innovation is, for me, it's more of a day-to-day thing. Like, I'll give an example. Um, when I was asked to write tests, like, when I was in SAP Ariba, we had almost 14,000 tests across multiple products. And I was asked to write maybe 2 or 3,000 more tests, right? It was easy for me to kind of, start and just start coding this test because that's the first instinct. But rather I took a step back and I thought of building a test framework, which is more data-driven testing. So that kind of, makes the life easier for new tests to be added or new behaviors to be added. Of course, I used the Gherkin framework and did a lot of research and tried to see what's the best way to implement it. So long story short, I think that's how I got promoted to my principal engineer as well. So having said that, innovation can happen at any phases of your product development. We just have to have a keen eye towards like what and always have simplicity as one of the principal guiding principle. Like if you want to keep things simple, that's the hardest thing to do, right? So and innovation enables that. Having said that, in HashiCorp, we are conducting hackathons. We do conduct regular hackathons at least every 6 months, and some great ideas have come out of hackathons, and some great ideas are in implementation phase as well. So that's the flexibility that engineering gets. It's a very nice collaboration between engineering and product in terms of creating these innovation ideas and taking that to the next level. The second aspect is, like I think Shivali was mentioning, using making sure that leaders are listening and they create opportunity, and we present ourselves as sounding board for the engineers. So I encourage the team members to kind of bring their ideas, and we brainstorm on that, and we'll see how we can improve on that. Like one recent innovation that I could call out, which is out there in the open, is one of our engineer did some optimization on the existing radix trees, which is currently used in GoMemDB. GoMemDB is one of the memory databases that we use for in Consul, Vault, etc. So instead of just plainly using the radix trees, it tried to enhance it by using adaptive radix trees, and it went a step further and is trying to do immutable adaptive radix trees. So these are some things that come out of passion, with a goal to kind of create the best possible like system out there, or like memory DB in this case out there. Like how can we be more time efficient, space efficient? So these are some things that I would definitely like to call out, Vignesh.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more, Trilok. Yeah, the Radix tree was a really good, lovely read as well. Like for anybody interested, definitely spend some time, look at Radix tree. I think you will be impressed with what's going on. Thank you for sharing that, Trilok. I do have one more question here. This is more about mistakes and how we grow in the career. I think Shamendra, I think you would be very well positioned to answer this. Can you talk about how your mistakes have shaped your career, Shamendra? You're on mute, Shamendra. So can you please unmute?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, definitely I would like to talk about it, because in this world, like, means first everyone has to agree that you are no different than others, right? When you make mistakes, right, you don't feel like you are alone into this world. Everyone make mistakes, but how we have to like react to it, how we have to be indifferent, is to learn from our mistakes, right? I've been reading, some quotes are, and nowadays, like, I'm reading this everywhere, like even on the apparels it is written that you never lose, you either win or learn. That is what is important. So you are not losing, you're either winning or you are learning. So always, like, whenever you are making a mistakes or something happens, we open transparent. This is what even we are basically in any organization, in HashiCorp, we have that kind of a culture, being transparent, being honest about it, right? That's where you will learn from it. Retrospect. Right. And I have also made many mistakes into my career, but I have made sure that on every mistake, and when I'm saying many, so yeah, trust me, I have made multiple mistakes in my career. But I made sure that I've been honest, transparent about it, and I learned from it in terms of the communication, in terms of like what the technical abilities, right? So there is a lot of opportunity to learn, right? But I would also like to suggest that means at times, like, a person who make mistakes, definitely there is a stress, right? So I don't want to, just polish my words, but trust me, I want to emphasize that stress is something useful, right? Means I know that in the long term it is not useful. It had negative impact, but stress is definitely useful to get out best of you, right? Because stress when you have a demand and supply gap. This is what I understand, right? So yeah, means you need a very good culture. You need to have a people. You need to have a culture around it, like a fear-free culture where you have to have a psychological safety, blameless, and continuous learning attitude. And all this culture, what I'm talking about, is there definitely in the HashiCorp. That's how we are growing.
Couldn't agree more, Chamendra. I think it stems from the values that we have written out, which is kindness,
Yeah.
integrity, beauty works better. So all those are basically aligned in the same direction as to encourage engineers to take risks, make the mistakes. You will learn out of it, and you will still grow to the next part of your career. It's not that you're going to get shunned because of it, right? So absolutely couldn't agree more, Chamendra. And as a senior engineer in the same team, I do definitely understand how that's going to be helpful to me, and I've seen that happen in real life as well. So thank you so much for calling that out, Chamendra. We do have one more question about career advice, and I think this is for somebody who's starting. So Shivali, do you want to take this? What are some career advices that you will be giving for folks who are starting in the software industry, right? So let's talk a fresher and they're starting in the software industry. Is there some career advice that you want to give them?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I'd like to say that if you're starting in the software industry, it kind of opened doors to diverse career tracks, each offering its unique challenges and opportunities. So these tracks could be software engineering, data engineering, product management, DevOps, and quality engineering, to name a few. And I feel that each track requires specific skills and offers distinct career paths within the software industry. One thing that I would like to emphasize there is that if you are somebody who's interested in exploring these tracks, HashiCorp is one of the best places for you, as we support internal mobility and career transitions across roles. And I've seen that the company believes in harnessing our skills to drive innovations across the organizations. So that's one thing. Coming to some career advices for those who are starting based on my experience. And the most important thing that I would like to say is that it's very important to learn continuously. I feel that our industry is continuously evolving, technology is rapidly evolving, and it's very important to commit to continuous learning. So please stay updated with the industry trends, new tools, and the best practices. Secondly, I'd like to say that it's also very important to seek feedback and mentorship. I feel that feedback is it's super important for growth. So if you're somebody who's starting new, make it a habit to seek out mentors who can provide guidance to you to help you grow and improve. I think this is something that has personally helped me a lot in my career. Apart from that, I think it's very important to communicate effectively, and that's something that our leader also iterates multiple times. Trilok also believes that software development often involves teamwork, and it's super important to develop strong communication skills. Basically, soft skills to communicate effectively with your colleagues, with your customers, and with other stakeholders. And last but not the least, I feel it's very important to build a good professional network within the industry. So try to attend conferences, join online forums to connect with peers and learn from their experiences. Yeah, that those would be the advices that I would like to give. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivari. I do have one more question that kind of bubbles into the same line, so I'm going to ask it right away. So, can you tell us how you keep your continuous learning going? I think our new engineers will be really amazed to hear your stories.
Yeah. I think I keep reading books recently along with my current team. Like HashiCorp India team has this regular meetings like every week where we pick up a book and we go through the chapters and we discuss our learning. We share our past experiences. So right now we are going through a book which is called Data Intensive Applications by Martin Kleppmann. That's one book that I'm going through along with my current team. Apart from that, I've subscribed to a couple of podcasts. There are a lot of them. A few of them being Cloudcast. Find that podcast pretty good. And there's one called Software Engineering Daily, where people involved in some of the most recognized companies share their views. So I think I do subscribe to podcasts. I prefer reading books to keep my learnings up to date. Yeah.
Thank you, Shivali. Thank you so much.
Thank
Well,
you.
yes, podcast is also my preferred mean of learning. So thank you so much for calling it out. Shaminder, we have one question regarding DevOps and SRE in particular. So I think I'm going to direct that to you. What key skills and experience do you value in candidates for DevOps and SRE roles? Can you throw some light on the skills that you're looking for, especially for the ones that we are hiring right now?
Yeah, a couple of things like we already talked about it, and I also noticed that what Trilok has emphasized on, like, he has responded to that question, like, that in DevOps, the candidate which we are hiring, definitely we are looking for development skill, coding skills, like you need to code, right? On top of that, we also looking for your, operational skills, continuous learning mindset, that transparency, and how you react into that particular situation. So this is something very important into DevOps and SRE world. And you need to have a good understanding on infrastructure side, infrastructure cloud. That is what we mention in details in our roles and responsibilities.
Thank you. Thank you, Shumendra. Yeah, absolutely makes sense. Uh, I think we are nearly on time. We have just 5 more minutes to go. Before we close off, hey, Trilok, do you want to throw some light around the open positions that we have right now? Because it's going to be a little more broad, right? Shumendra did touch about a little bit on the SRE and the DevOps side. So it kind of sparked in me that you might want to say a few words about the rest of the org as well. So do you want to share some thoughts on that?
Absolutely, Vignesh. To start with, I think there is some confusion. People are thinking there is a lot of Consul positions. So I think there's a bug with our website where most of the positions are tagged with Consul. So please ignore that. We are not mainly hiring for Consul. We are hiring mostly across different products. If you go into the details of the job descriptions, we are hiring for Terraform, we are hiring for HCP, Ward, Consul, Nomad, Boundary, almost all the products we are hiring for in India. So yes, it's not just for Consul. Maybe there are one or two here and there for Consul, but the others are mostly across. And even we are hiring across PM and SRE organizations. So SRE is rapidly growing as well. And Sham is here, who is currently leading that organization. So that's the first thing I wanted to clear the air on. We are hiring across. And secondly, we are hiring across all roles. We're starting from a college graduate. We are also hiring interns, but we are also hiring college graduates, engineer 2, senior engineers, staff engineers across all different roles, because we are building the team with the right experiential diversity, which is very important for us. And we are predominantly looking at Golang is a preferred language, but that is not like a mandatory thing. We need people who are really good with programming, who can understand and design distributed systems and work with them. So these are some of the skills that we are looking for. We currently have around 57 open positions, if you see, and we are hiring more. I think we want to get get the good people in and get and scale them up and set them up for success. The teams that are if I have to give you a rough idea of maybe 5 or 6 teams, the first team is called Terraform Customer Engineering, which is focusing on the working with the customers and addressing customer issues. Then we are hiring across Vault, dedicated, we are setting up a team for that. We're also setting up a dedicated team for Boundary. Boundary is our one of the fastest growing product in HashiCorp. Definitely do read about it. It's a very interesting problem it solves. And we're also expanding across HCP managed services, so which includes managed services like Consul and managed services like Vault, and also the platform as well. Coming to SRE, we are hiring across all verticals, which includes operation readiness, incident response, FinOps, infrastructure, and other areas as well. We're also hiring product managers, of course, a little senior product managers to begin with. It'll be a small cohort, but it's a very, very important cohort for us. And we are also hiring a design lead as well in India. So these are some of the roles. Of course, I missed out the most important thing. We are also hiring a lot of managers. So if you are a manager and if you are looking to kind of be part of a fast-paced, really cool, fun team, please join us. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tilok. I do want to share out for the fresh grads over here that once you start your career in your SDE, it doesn't mean that you'll have to continue your career in SDE. HashiCorp offers the internal mobility platform where you can switch roles. You can jump to become a product manager if that's what suits you, or you can choose to become an SRE. You can explore the whole breadth of the software engineering through us. So please definitely do keep applying. Look out for our posts on LinkedIn. Join us for more webinars. We are always happy to host you guys. Awesome. I think it's time that we wrap up. We are at time. So definitely do thank all our panelists for joining in, taking our time, and our viewers as well. Couldn't be happy. And for the entire team that helped us put together this webinar. Thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.
Thank you.